Welcome back to another episode of Light Between Us. This is a podcast with no rules, no boundaries, and no expectations. It truly just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or informational podcast, but a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation 2 by 2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and allow the miracles, the love, and the light to shine through. This is a reminder we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together, 2 by 2, as the light reveals itself in the space between us. Welcome back again. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for today. Julie, who is no stranger to this podcast, we have done multiple recordings, and she has been a massive part of my journey for many lifetimes, but in particular, over the last 3 years, I have experienced and witnessed that in this body of Ashley, how our relationship has just brought so much light, so much love, and so many miracles on our intentional journey of walking together. We reflect on the 3 years. This is like real time, guys. Like, we had not reflected. We chatted prior and it just aligned that we could have a conversation today. So we really, in real time, you're hearing us reflect on the past 3 years together and how that has impacted each of us, what our perception is, what is a word or statement that really encompasses it for each of us. And yeah, it is truly a living example of what I share, walking each other home. We go home 2 by 2. This concept that we are equal and we all play different roles at different moments, and it may look certain ways, but it is only our stories that create the inequality. So you really get to see, whatever, all of that in this episode. And it is just a heart-pouring, beautiful episode, as all of them are. But today just feels so extra special, which now we have to rise them all up to the specialness to share about this, very intentional journey that we have gone under over the last 3 years. And it's so funny I say that, and I'm like, well, Ashley and Julie didn't intentionally do it. It was intentionally set up as a deeper way of remembering. And Julie shares about what she needed in her life, and that God knew that and brought us together for me to be that vessel. And it was exactly what I needed in my life. And Julie was the vessel. So the bodies of Julie and Ashley were the vessels necessary for one another to have deeper remembrance of the truth. And now really we're in this state of just like really beautiful oneness, and we continue to peel back the layers. But I'm going to quit rambling and let you listen in. It's an absolutely beautiful conversation. Of course, not the last conversation with Julie. Do all the things, please. Like, subscribe. It greatly helps us get out there for more people to receive the love, the light, and the miracles that are within. So here you go. So, 3-year anniversary.
Woohoo!
Yay, celebrate. This is the 3-year today. Actually, today, 3 years today of Julie. I was thinking earlier, like, what do I say? Because it's not like working together. I would say of us intentionally walking on this journey back home together, very intentionally. So, this is not a great way to start out a podcast already. Like, I've been thinking about it all day and I didn't get emotional.
Well, it's hard when you're looking at someene's face.
Here, I'm going to cover you up. No, just kidding.
I get it.
Oh, yeah, 3 years. I mean, it feels... So for anyone listening in, Julie and I have been intentionally working together for 3 years, or intentionally walking on this journey together for 3 years.
Yep.
And one thing with our intentional walk together is every time we have a scheduled intentional conversation, I will call it, I do a recap. So what is a recap? A recap is essentially, I'll take maybe some cliff notes while we're talking if we're via Zoom, which many of our times have been via Zoom. And then if we are in person, I don't usually take any notes, and I'm so grateful because every time, like, I'll be like, oh shit, how is this going to work? And every time, like, Spirit just flows through me, because I don't even remember. Like, I read our notes from Amsterdam today, which was a year ago. We were in person. We met for, like, well, we had, like, an intentional conversation for a good, like, 3 hours. Like, I feel like we had a really long intentional conversation. And so after every time we spend time together, even if I make cliff notes per se, there have been some times I've been guided not to expand on them, and I think that just is what it is. Yeah. But if I am guided, it's like I revisit our time together and just like as a full observer, and just new stuff flows out, new reflections, new awareness, new guidance. And I always feel like it kind of pulls everything together for us. And for you, you've always said, like, the recaps have been astronomical and have sped up, you know, our work together. But you know what the funny thing is, Julie? We've had this conversation before. Nobody else reads them.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have, like, prayed on it, and there's clients that I just stopped doing it. I was like, okay, maybe this is my invitation to just be, like, fully in the present for this hour, and no additional awareness is needed. Because it takes up a chunk of time. So if people, like, I have people that haven't even requested access to the Google folder. Which, I mean, that's their journey. But it just shows, like, the duality. Like, you are, like...
I need them.
Well, you don't need them.
I love them.
You love them. You love them.
Well,
so I don't know.
I think what I thought about too, because I was reviewing the notes, like our 6-month and 1-year summaries for the last 3 years here today, and I thought that same thing. I was like, when you reach a point in your life and you're like, I want and need a guide of some kind, and you don't know what that is, and you don't know who it's going to be or what that's going to look like. But God knows me well enough to know that I'm a note person, and I needed and I wanted. I didn't know I needed that until you offered it to me, and I started reading those notes, and it was like, yes, the conversations were impactful and powerful just in and of themselves. But then I got the power of the next day or whatever to read the notes again by myself, quietly reflect, process, have the week or two between our calls. And they just are like, they're so... I don't even know. I said it to you on Thursday after our call. We had a very powerful call on Thursday, and I read the notes on Friday morning.
And that was a flow. Those were just like, I had the TV going, Julie. Like, Pat was watching TV, and I was sitting, and it was just like my fingers were just like moving, and I was like not even aware.
I just was like, couldn't even, same thing, and it put me in the flow of, it was the reiteration of our discussion that I just kind of helped it sink in even more, because there was emotional stuff and things that I've been struggling with, and then set me into the weekend to flow through. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been I believe that God sent someone to me who gave me the tool, not only you and our conversation to process things, but the tool of having the notes has been instrumental to me. So thank you.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that, Julie? So when I was a social worker, I worked for the government. And like the government checks and balance galore. Yeah. And so we had to do time reporting,
of course,
in 15-minute increments.
Yeah.
And that I hated it. I could not stand it. And essentially it was doing recaps of like meeting with clients and stuff. Yeah. And I could not, like, that was my favorite thing that I got away from when I left social work. But when I started my business, it was the first thing I implemented working with other people, because I was taking notes myself, period, like to reflect on, and it was just helpful for me in that moment. But it's like progressed into, it almost reminds me like A Course in Miracles. We talk about that. And you know, like how Ken talks about when Helen was, Helen's the scribe, scribing, but at first she was like she's like, absolutely not, I'm not going to write this. But like once I finally just like surrendered to it, I realized like, oh, this isn't me. This is something else coming through me, but it's so funny. Like it makes absolutely no sense that I would have ever offered
since it's
these
something
physical
you hated
typed up notes
doing.
for people. Yeah. And you know, I had a lady I was working with, and I love her so much. And we worked together a couple years, and all of a sudden I went to her Google Drive, and at that time everybody had access to editing as well. She deleted all of them. And I just remember this feeling of like, and they were really helpful to her too. She would print them out and carry them around with her. And she wanted me to color code them and stuff. They were super helpful to her. And I just remember this feeling of like, you know, that moment that you realized you threw away all your journals and they're gone. And there is no finding them ever again. And so that was a moment of just really remembering like whose property they truly are, and like, which is, you know, grander than us, and then it didn't matter. But yeah, I just share that because like they've been so like important in our walk together, not just for you, like even me looking back on the ability to write them for myself and to like just allow myself to be channeled through in that manner has been, because sometimes the stuff that comes out, I'm like, what? Like the most recent, I'm gonna share it. I love it because I'm all in it too. Is polygamy and polygamous, being a polygamist. Like we're talking about one-on-one having intimate partner relationships and what we're seeking in them. But then we realize, oh crap, I've got tons of, like, this person does that, this person, like I was talking about, you know, if I put everything on Patrick, he should be surprising me with gifts and all that. Like he's not meeting my expectations. But when I take a bird's eye view of the people in my life, like you, Julie, are always surprising me with random things here or there, or random calls or, you know, cards or books or all these different things. And so when you and I were talking about it, it just, that's not a word that I use in my vocabulary, but I was like, we're like polygamous.
I know. It was very enlightening, actually, because it did make me look at relationships, all of my relationships, through a new lens, for sure. Yeah, and that they all have important purposes and fulfillment and so it doesn't, you know, it kind of goes back to that. We don't have to get into that particular topic, but it was very enlightening to use that, because then I just would laugh and I'm like, oh yeah, I am a polygamist, not in the sense that people might think like I have multiple sexual partners, nothing like that, but like more like intimate, deep relationships with lots of friends and people that serve, kind of make up kind of the big picture of what is fulfilling in my life.
Like you're able to see that God or Jesus or the universe or whatever anyone listens is believing can work through everyone. It doesn't just have to be that significant partner or that best friend, right? Like think of the expectations we sometimes put on like the best friend, you know, and then they mess up because they didn't do this or that. So But we'll have to do maybe a whole podcast episode on like
polygamy.
Embracing polygamy.
You're gonna pick up on the algorithm a whole bunch of stuff we don't want, but
I don't know.
We'll see.
It'll be interesting. I think it'd be good. I mean, because I feel like it has such a connotation. We should probably look up the definition. That might be a good place to start.
Surprisingly, I haven't done it yet, but yes, I agree.
Me neither. So, okay, back to
our 3-year anniversary.
Right.
Yeah. I one thing you had asked me, and we'll talk about it more on our during our one-on-one, but I was just thinking about, I'm like a birthday anniversary person, so it was on my mind anyway before we even talked about it, because I like to think about like what has the last year looked like, whether it's my own birthday or somebody's or a relationship birthday, I guess. And so I was already thinking about the 3 years of working with you, and you had said, is there a word or a couple words that would sum it up? And so I journaled about that for a couple days, and the one thing that stands out to me the most is everything. And when I'll explain everything, but everything is a relationship. So everything means every person, everything that you interact with, everything is a relationship. And I'm going to give you an example of something that happened yesterday to kind of elaborate on that. But yeah, I think that as I think about where we started 3 years ago, where I felt like I wanted to address some personal romantic relationship dynamics that were really stemming, I think, from inner child and like unworthiness is where I thought I was at the time, through relationships with family, friends, body, alcohol, work, where do I live, everything in my entire life, everything. I think we've touched on every single thing in my in life. I mean, and so that was my biggest, the high level summary of what I think you've taught me is that everything is a relationship. Everything you're experiencing is a relationship, and it's helpful in that if you think about things that aren't so obvious, like person to person, I think we all understand, like, oh, I'm in a relationship with you, or I'm in a relationship with a man, or I'm in a relationship with my family. But I think when we think about being in relationship with things like food, alcohol, work, pets, health, body, all the other things, we want to think about them differently. And in fact, I think what I'm learning the most in the last maybe 6 months has been, if I think about it like it's a real person, let's call it, because that's the way my mind wants to like think about it.
Yeah.
Is it helps put it in a new perspective of like, oh, I'm blaming this thing. I'm blaming my body for being a certain way. And that's what's causing my suffering. Like meaning my thoughts about my body. So yeah, I'll stop there. But I just wanted to say that's I think my summary of the biggest takeaway that as I think about the 3 years and all the things we've worked through. And it's just it's ongoing, right? Because new things come up and things have shifted. Many big things have shifted in 3 years, but there are still things that I haven't 100% become peaceful about and I'm still working on. But then there's always new things that come up. And so, yeah, that's what I would say about my overarching summary.
Well, I think that is absolutely beautiful. And what came to me when you said over our time working with you, immediately, and this is before you went into the relationship part, what came to me is walking with you. Like, this has never felt like work for me, at least. And I know it could have felt like work, but I feel like you were able to see it in such a different manner, especially now with like seeing it as a relationship versus a have to or a duty or a thing. So it's more like we've fully been walking together the last 3 years, and it just, I think like when it comes to money or hierarchy, like visions in our eyes, which the book, if anyone's listening in and hasn't listened to any of the other podcasts, doesn't even have to be with Julie, I always mention The Soul of Money, a book that Julie recommended, which so beautifully helps you to realize how many decisions you make based on money, how you look at people, how you look at yourself, how, just like, kind of like you just said, it's like about everything's a relationship, but it's almost like we filter it through the relationship with money before we look at the other relationships, like is how we're trained. So it's like, yeah, even though maybe there's a money exchange, and even though maybe, you know, the times are more structured for your sharing and I do the notes, that's just the role we're playing in this moment. And it doesn't mean that like I'm in a different space, like I'm better than Julie, but I think like that's what we've created in society, like with Instagram and all these, you know, things of placing people on pedestals. But like you said, like you had a prayer on your heart that you, at the moment, were seeing it in like intimate relationships and wanting to reconnect with your inner child, and the ways in which you could be interact with a mirror or walk with a mirror included certain things. And it just so happened that like Ashley's body, I mean, like I had the yellow shoes on that day, which kind of stood out to you, you know, and like I offered notes, like these things. And so, yeah, I really feel like it's, you know, like my favorite quote, Ram Dass, we're all just walking each other home. But Julie, like when you were just talking, so I read the Amsterdam notes.
Oh yeah.
But you and there was a section.
So Amsterdam is 1 year ago.
Yes,
1 year ago, we were in I went to visit you in Amsterdam, and so we had our regular coaching session in person, which was the first time we've done that.
Was that the first? No. Did we not do it? We did in person once in Florida.
We got together for coffee. I don't think we did a coaching session.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think we did an actual session.
No, that was since I was in Amsterdam, and it was our coaching time, and we just did it. So we've had that session, and then we've had one other one that it was in Bonaire in person. Yeah. So anyway,
no, go couple on. In Bonaire. We had a couple in Bonaire.
On. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I was reading the recap from Amsterdam. Now I'm like, of course, didn't have it pulled up. I love it. They all say like in person if they're, okay, here we go. In person, Amsterdam. So you were talking about the relationship piece.
Yeah.
And there was a section.
I read them. Maybe I can tell you what it was.
Yeah.
Tell me what you were thinking.
It was about, you were talking about in the relationship and how, when you said like, we've covered so many different things. In here, there's something in the notes where it talks about like, you can attempt to change what's outside of you, but it will never change like what's going on within. And so it moves. And remember one time I used like the analogy of like the ego would go hide behind new things. In my head, I pictured like a paintball course and he would go hide. And so to me, that's the reminder, like when we feel uncomfortable in a situation and we believe it's the like you were saying, the situation or the relationship, and we move away from, we're like, oh, okay, this person's bad. We get a divorce, right? Or they're not meeting my needs. We get a divorce. Yeah, you feel that for a little bit, but it always finds its way back in another area. And it's like recently you and I were talking about how, I think for me as well, it's staying the same in the same relationship with a certain thing. It hasn't been moving anymore. And I wonder if it's because it's like you follow it as it moves around for a period of time, but then it's like the bullshit meter gets so strong it can't hide, you know, like this is what's really going on, so it continues to stay in that one area. I don't know, I'm kind of going off, but that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, you said that was, I think, maybe not the first time, but for sure in the notes you said about the, what do you call it? The looking for the little boy who's lighting the matches versus, so like if you if let's say it was the romantic relationship I was in and I was like, I'm out, I'm just out of that, I'm ending it. Well, then it'll just pop up somewhere else. The things that I hadn't faced or hadn't addressed was it will pop up somewhere else. So it doesn't mean stay in the relationship. It just means be aware that if you haven't fully gone deep in whatever is the discomfort, or I don't know, how do you describe
No, I think
that?
that's it. If you think that your discomfort went away because you left that relationship,
that it'll creep up
that's
somewhere
the fire.
else if you haven't addressed it. The fire will just creep up somewhere else.
Yeah,
And just be aware of it. And that's not right or wrong. It just is like, that's just awareness of if that relationship needed to end and it couldn't help you continue going on, to get to the bottom of it, I guess. Then just have awareness that it will potentially come up somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's the key. The key is at the beginning when we're bringing awareness, like say when you and I started working together and stuff, it was jumping around because we always talk about experiencing both sides of the coin. And it's like we need to experience that it wasn't that thing, and we need to see it over and over again to understand like, oh, I'm not happy now because that relationship ended. Right? It has nothing to do with that because it came back again in a completely different relationship, the same feeling, whether it's with a person or an item or this or that. And so it's like allowing things to end, like you said, but never believing that it had to end for you to feel a certain way.
That it was, and I think, thank you, you helped me as you were talking, that it was never about that external thing. It was never about that person. So if it's a person and you broke up with them, potentially that wasn't, if you haven't kind of worked through the triggers and the reactions and the things that came up in that relationship, if you haven't really worked through them and accepted them and have a new perspective, they'll potentially come up somewhere else. And it's the same thing. I think, like I said, the biggest takeaway for me has been, it's not just people. It's, for a lot of people, it's food. For a lot of people, it's work. For a lot of people, for me, it's been alcohol. For, other people, it's exercise. For, it's money. It's any, money. Thank you. Money. It's anything. We are in relationship with everything. And I think that has been very eye-opening for sure. Yeah.
Anything we can blame. Like, it can be the silliest little thing, too. Because, I used to say when I was big in personal development, like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. Yeah. And now how I've translated that is, like, how you see one thing is how you see all things. So is it like, are you seeing it from fear or love, attack, or, love, of course. And like this morning, I was getting ready and there's this towel holder that makes no sense where it's located in the bathroom. And sure enough, I whacked my elbow on it. It split my elbow open and I was bleeding. And I had to laugh because my immediate instinct was to go to what we're talking about. That damn thing shouldn't be there. And I just laughed and I was like, it has nothing, like, that is not why I'm feeling discomfort right now. That is not why it happened. And people listening might be like, what are you talking about? Yes, this is a very metaphysical concept. And this is a very, it's still a thing you and I, Julie, grapple with. Like, really? But really? You know, so like, if you're feeling that right now, it's okay. Just keep listening. You don't, like, it is what it is. But it's so funny because I had that this morning because I literally thought about it. I was like, that damn thing is in that. And then I was like, I laughed and was like, are you kidding me? Like, how you do one thing is how you do all things. This towel bar is not out to get you. Yeah. It's not here to attack you.
Well, I had something happen yesterday I would love to share to like give you an example of, I think, and you're so good at kind of articulating the different aspects of this as I share it as like, oh, this is what this part means. So I just want to share this with you. So yesterday morning, and what I'm trying to say is this is an example of summarizing all the things I think I've learned through coaching with you and progression in 3 years and transformation in 3 years. So that's where it's a high bar, but let's try. See how we do.
I'm like, oh God, what happened yesterday?
So yesterday morning, I woke up and I was like, okay, I feel like I want to go to yoga today. And I just was like, sat with it for about 10 minutes and I was like, cool, that feels really good. I want to go to yoga today. I'm going to sign up. It's at noon and they sometimes fill up. So I'm going to sign up. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I should tell you the whole thing and then we can go back to the segments.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was it. I woke up with that feeling of like, I really want to go today. Mm-hmm. I haven't been in a couple weeks and I'm like, I really feel like today, I really want to go. It feels like that feels really good to me. Okay, great. Signed up. So I walk over there, go at 12. And it's spring break, so it actually wasn't as busy as it normally is. And so that was...
Oh, I suppose because you're in college town, so everyone was gone versus the opposite.
So I say that to say like, I haven't been in a couple weeks, but when I've been before, it gets really packed. Yeah. So yesterday it was just like, it wasn't as busy. So there was just like so much space and so much, and the teacher was able to go around and do some like adjustments and beautiful things. Mm-hmm. So I go, and right from the beginning, it's a flow and restore class. So it's very gentle and then restorative. She's a beautiful teacher. Only had her once before, but right from the beginning, she starts off with like, let's, lay on our backs and breathe and get centered. And she's like, and then if you would like to say this to yourself, I'll call it a mantra. I am here. I intended to be here. I am grateful to be here. So I said that like in the beginning, like I said that a couple times and I was like, yeah, that's right. That feels right to me. So then we go through class and we're doing a couple, we did a little bit of flow and we get into restorative, and she does a beautiful job of saying right from the beginning, like, you're welcome to embrace all of you here, meaning all of you, whatever shows up on your yoga mat, whatever feels good to you, do it. What doesn't feel good to you, don't do it. Mm-hmm. You have permission, basically, to be you. And that's it. No expectations. Yeah. So then we go on, we're in the restorative pose towards the end, and she is saying, if your mind is wandering, that's totally normal. We accept all of you here. Mm-hmm. Even the flaw, even if you think that's not okay, like that your mind shouldn't be wandering. And she's like, maybe thank your mind for doing its job. And I was like, okay, cool. That's true. She's like, because your mind, that's its job, is to keep you alive and be busy and think and solution and all the things. I was like, okay. So we get to so that was nice. I thought, oh, that was nice. So then we get to the end, very, to end Shavasana. And I kind of took, as in Shavasana, I was taking all the pieces of what she shared. Like, I am here. I intended to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for my mind and it doing its job. Even if it's busy sometimes, that's okay. Grateful for my body, for doing what it can do here. I'm grateful I walked here. I just did a yoga class. I'm going to walk home. I'm grateful for it. And tears started coming out of my eyes as I was laying there. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, Ashley, I think it might be the first time I didn't react I was like, I'm grateful that you get to release some emotion.
You just let it flow.
And let it flow. And, there was a second where I knew, I was like, oh my gosh, in the past I would have been like, what the, what the hell is going on?
Stop.
And I didn't do that. And I was like you said, let it flow. I'm grateful that I'm in a place where I get to release whoever felt, whatever part of me or whatever felt like they, the words touched. I think I felt something when I said, I'm grateful to my mind for doing its job and keeping me alive. Grateful to my body for doing its job and like allowing me to do these things. And I think whatever part of me needed to hear that, like, everything's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Every part of you is doing what it's supposed to do or meant to do. And I just felt really so much gratitude, and I just let the tears roll.
I love it.
So I think I thought about it earlier today, and I thought, wow, if we think about, for me, it really summarizes the progression of where I was. If you think about, like, in the morning when I allowed my intuition, let's call it, to say, I feel like I want to go to yoga without any other garbage happening. Right. Any other stories of you should go, you haven't gone, you do need to go, what the hell, you haven't gone in 3 weeks, of course you need to go. Like, none of that. It was like, no, this feels really good to me today, and I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And like the presence of being, there, and non-judgment of anything that was going on in the class. Gratitude, of course. And then allowing emotions to come up and embracing them, actually, instead of trying to explain them away or suppress them or whatever. So I thought that was such an interesting experience yesterday that I think summed up what we've accomplished in 3 years.
Well, can I share my reflection?
Please, of course.
I mean, holy crap. Like, okay, we started this with talking about how everything is a relationship, and we explained what we meant by that, of like, everything outside of you is meant to spark internal dialogue, essentially. And everything outside of you is a representation of the internal dialogue, is the deal, right? Like, so it's the towel bar wasn't the one attacking me. I was attacking myself. Like, there was something there, right? That wanted to like come out. I don't even know, like, because it didn't become like a big thing. But I know there's been times where I stubbed my toe and I'm like pissed the rest of the day. And my toe, your focus is all on that, when really it was just meant to be an opportunity to see a story move through, right? Like, so if we look at your yesterday from that perspective, if everything you're in relationship, because it is a projection of your internal state of being, so it started out the morning very internal, right? It was an internal dialogue, is what people would see it as. And okay, so hang on, people, strap your seatbelts in. But really, it was external, because Julie, the body, is external from what you truly are. So it started out like with the most intimate external, if that makes sense, right? The one that is the hardest for us to jump around. And there was no committee meeting. Like, so like Julie didn't weigh in. And so I'm just going to share, like, ever since Julie and I started working together, or shortly after, Jules is her highest self. Jules is like, when we refer to the person that has the map, the person that is like the direct connection to God, the one like the main guide here is Jules. So it was like you let Jules speak and you didn't argue with her, which last week we talked about. Every time we're like projecting the future, like saying like, oh, we should or shouldn't do this in the future, which would have been like go to yoga. Where like imagine yourself having an argument with Jules, like telling her like, you don't really know why I need to go to yoga. So like I see immediately you just like allowed the guidance without the noise. Like you said, allowed the guidance without the noise. And because you allowed yourself to be, you know, Pat and I watch Jeopardy, which Julie and I have so many connections. And Jane Austen, she brought up the word the other day, and now it's literally been on Jeopardy every single night we've watched it. But last night they talked about tabula rasa, which is clean slate. Oh. So it was like you allowed yourself to be a clean slate. And so then you got to see the truth in all of your mirrors yesterday. And so to me, like everything you interacted with. Okay, another thing, go back if anyone listening in, it's so hard because we're just having a conversation, but I also want to honor like people just jumping in because if you know me, Julie knows me, I'll just go on a different tangent that like you have to remember our conversation we had. But there's it's called Heathrow in 20 Minutes, I think, is a video with Julie and I. And Julie tried to claim that Heathrow was dead and no one was there. And it was like the fastest thing ever. So go listen to that because that'll tell you that whole situation. Yeah. But that's like what this was. You went there and you're like, well, it wasn't. So you already made a story, but whatever, we don't care. It wasn't busy because of spring break. No, it wasn't busy because you showed up with a clean slate. So we were witnessing the truth within the mind, right? And she also came and interacted with you in a helping manner, right? Just like the love, you felt the full love and that's what you were experiencing. And at the end, you know, we so often coin our crying to, I know you said release and I know you get this, but to something negative, but at least Julie and I, we've found like when you experience the real love that's out there, like the true, like it's overwhelming. It just makes tears come. It just makes like you just flow because you're just, I don't even know how words to explain it, but I feel like that's what that was like you literally were like tabula rasa all morning, just allowed, and then the gratitude for the body and stuff. It wasn't gratitude that I have this body to do things I want to do. It was gratitude and surrender to trusting that this body that's Julie is doing exactly what she's supposed to do when she's supposed to do it. And that's okay. Even if it doesn't fit my idea, you know, because so often like we turn it into like the body's a temple and it's meant to be kind of like my slave in a way. No. Like, but yours was like this gratitude that you surrendered to whatever the hell the body was doing. Like, this body that's called Julie didn't go to yoga for the last 2 months, but we're focusing that right now she's here and we're grateful. And we're grateful for the 2 months she didn't go too, because there was lots of connections that happened that wouldn't have happened if she would have gone to yoga. That's what I heard. So yes, I agree. Everything you said. Like, wow.
I know.
So beautiful.
It was one of those days that was just the beginning of the day. And it was like, like I said, as I was thinking about our call tonight or today, and I was thinking about, I'm like, wow, that experience for me sums up all the changes that I have learned and practiced and I guess integrated and have changed how I completely operate and look at everything. And I mean, literally not more than 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something, one of my sisters said to me, oh, we're not able to release our emotions or something along those lines. And I just thought, well, babe, I am releasing them. And again, it's yesterday just seemed to be the most natural time that it happened without the noise of, I think in the past, of course, if you're not used to expressing your emotions or allowing yourself to release your emotions, my behavior in the past used to be, or my mind used to go to, oh my God, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you emotional? And now
remember when that song played and the first time you just like started crying, you're like, actually, like at first I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then we decided to schedule time for you to really, because you had like all these decades of emotions that needed to come out.
To be released. Well, my sisters, if they ever listen to this, maybe can benefit from hearing some of this, that it's okay to release it. I mean, it's so common though, because I literally today finished watching an episode. I love Peter Crone, who's a podcast. He's a coach and all the things, but he's on a bunch of podcasts, and he was on a podcast with this guy that I like, who's like this, bodybuilding, physical, like masculine man. But he's doing his own work of trying to understand like his inner child and the emotions that rise up. So on the episode, he gets teary-eyed like a couple times. And he says to Peter Crone, he goes, I've been fighting it back. I've been having micro tears because I don't think it's appropriate, because we're on a podcast and it's his podcast. And he's like, and I'm the host. And I just watched him and I just thought, oh, honey, you're going to have to let it go.
Yeah, let it go.
You're going to have to let it flow.
That was a good song, even though it's an annoying song
let it
by
go.
Frozen, but let it go.
Let it go.
I
mean, that's what people think. That's what many people think, is that like, oh, this is not the appropriate time. And it's
it's uncomfortable.
And it's
like,
uncomfortable because you think like something's wrong. So.
Yeah. Well, because you've been taught, like, think of the little kid, like, the minute they start crying, even if you witness them fall.
Yeah.
Many times the question was, what's wrong with you? Like, is your leg broken?
Yeah.
No, get over it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Like, I remember, I love my grandma. She's great. But when I attempted to take my own life and I was, like, so almost successful, like, they read me my last rites and all the things. And when I came out the other side, my grandma came out to me and she's like, you're a handsome woman. You need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and figure it out. If you ever try this again, I'll do it to you instead. Like, but it was that. It was like, figure it out. Like, and even that statement, like, someone always has it worse than you. Oh, that is an awful statement. Someone said that to me the other day, that's really? How they're getting through life.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But I didn't, you know what's weird, Julie? That's the thing too, when you know this, we always talk about peanut butter jelly. When you start to realize, just follow the guidance and you don't always have to say things unless you feel guided. I didn't, and I felt weird. Like, I can't let this person go on in life, but it didn't, like, I feel like if I would have forced myself, it would have been really from a place of ego. I need to correct you. Versus I just was like, okay. Yeah, that is a story we carry very heavily. I think everywhere in the world, maybe. Yeah. I think it's a way that we feel better. But okay, my turn. I get to share my word.
Go.
Go. So after you just, like, I feel like it's perfect right this moment, because after what you just shared yesterday. So I read through our first ever notes. I skimmed another note. I can't remember what it was. Wasn't super like remembrance. But then the Amsterdam ones today, I read, and they were just so impactful. And so for anyone listening, at the end of everything, like Lighthouse, I should just start doing it with friends. If I did it with Patrick, he would never have a 60-second recap, because I swear he just never listens to me. But that's okay. So at the end, I do what's called a 60-second recap, which Julie has become a master at, but I think it still even says in your notes, I know you hate this, but you're so good at it.
Still don't
or
like
something like that. So it's essentially, the point of it was the acknowledgement of perspectives. That I may think the biggest influential thing that Julie got out of our conversation is this, but really that's because that was my perspective, and she got something completely different that I would have completely missed. So it's our way to kind of just like recenter and also just kind of reflect in a very concise manner. It's supposed to be 60 seconds. So anyway, I say this because I want to share your 60-second recap from Amsterdam. Because as soon as I read it, I was like, holy crap, because we've been talking about this a lot again lately in Lighthouse a lot, actually. And immediately, as soon as I like finished the sentence, the word that encompasses at least your last year. I mean, I think it's the full 3 years, but I really felt like this has been the meat and potatoes of this last year. So your 60-second recap was, there's a little bit about background for it. It says, The Chosen this morning, and one message I received was in season 3, episode 5. New wine will not fit into old containers. So immediately, anew is what popped, like, this last year, like, you have been practicing over and over and over again, seeing things anew. Your stories, people, places, like you really, I feel like relationships, I mean, everything is a relationship. So it's really just attempting to enter things anew always. And in that process, you appear to have become anew. And I think that's yesterday, you like anew, right? Like it was like just this day of anew. So that's my word, at least for I think the last year has been intentional. I think it's always our journey all along, but really, and it's the like you've been creating your new wine cask or whatever it's called. Yeah. So that's mine.
Yeah, we love that quote. We love the Bible story, I guess. It's not a quote, but about new wine has to go. New wine can't go in old wine skin because it'll explode. You have to have new containers for new wine. So you have to allow yourself to have a new version of yourself, I guess.
Yeah. And the old, I mean, we recently talked about, Scott brought forward that Japanese way, the bowl, where you put the bowl together with the gold, remember? And Scott brought that forward. And to me, it's the same. But I think the focus there is that we're broken and we need to be put back together. And I don't see that object as that. I see it as like anew, right? Like you could, it's just anew. I don't know. I see it that way instead of like, oh, Julie was broken and now we've glued her ass back together, or Ashley was broken. No, I think it's like we always had the light shining through, which is the gold, but we never fully allowed it to shine through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, since this is not my coaching session, as the coach, what would you say is, how have you changed, or what have you experienced through our relationship? I know that's a broad question, but what comes to mind?
Yeah. Well, I feel like when that word anew came, there's been so many, like the relationship. I think one of the biggest things is like, you are so stoic. Maybe I would, like, I'm very animated. So, like, if I'm upset, if I'm happy, and Julie, you're very, like, stoic. And so, like, I mean, I don't know any other word. Like, you smile and stuff. Like, it's not that you don't do any of those things, but you definitely are not. You agree? Like, stoic is a good response?
Sure.
So that has been a huge mirror for me in the 3 years because, I think probably in the last year I've outed it. I finally felt like this needs to be shared in Lighthouse about how actually difficult it is to be the mirror of something uncomfortable. And when Julie gets prickled, like I've gotten better at like feeling it, but early on I didn't know if I'd pissed her off so instead of doing what the old Ashley would do, or not old Ashley, doing what I was used to doing, the relationship pattern I had with people was, send a message like, oh my gosh, you're so great, I'm sorry if I upset you or any,
Are you
try
okay?
to, smooth it over.
Yeah.
And get a barometer check, essentially, a barometer check with someone. So that has been a huge thing for me, is trusting that everything that was meant to be reflected and shared in our call was meant to be that way. So then I have to do my own work back here of like the trust and surrender and like knowing that our journey together is unfolding exactly as it's meant to, and sometimes it might be uncomfortable. More times it might be really wonderful. So I would say, like, there's so much more. Like, I could talk for a long, long time. But I would say that has been one of the biggest things, and I will say probably moving through that and trusting that, for me, I think what has brought the last 6 months to maybe a year, I think maybe since Amsterdam, where I really, like, I might cry, feel like one. Like, like, you and I are, like, I don't know. They're, like, the connection is, and I feel like that was a block before, the worry of upsetting you, the worry of, that. And then when I finally released that, and I think Amsterdam was like when I broke down in Amsterdam and you had reminded me of home, I think it was not home, the physical location. That's what I wanted to think, but home.
Yes.
Like the connection to the love of God, the connection to truth, the real, like what this podcast, like the whole beginning that I'm going to say after this, and for the beginning of this podcast, the 2x2, like in the strongest version.
Well, thank you for, like you said, I remember you sharing in the very beginning, like first month, 2 months, whatever, where I definitely had a mask. I definitely was not going to express emotion. I was definitely not letting you see how I really felt about certain things. Because I wasn't letting myself see it. And I get that. But it's been quite a journey of building trust and safety to allow me to do that. And I can't, and like you said, it's not comfortable for you to I know I don't like this. What's the word? I don't like to say confront, but like,
be a mirror, be the hard mirror, the prickly
the mirror that's like, hey, I still feel heaviness here. What's coming up? Cause I can say for sure that when you used to say that to me, like, I still feel heaviness, used to trigger me. Cause I was like, the feeling that was coming up when you would say that was like, I did the best I could to work through this, and now you're telling me you still feel heaviness. So I was like, God, like, WTF.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's the work that is required, whether it's with a coach who you build safety with and trust and love with, or whether it's with a therapist, or whether it's with a partner or whomever it is. That's what I think I'm trying to express. I hope we're expressing on this call, is that that's what we've accomplished together. And why I can say after, and again, it's happened before yesterday, but it's been gradual. But I think that example yesterday to me was like this complete example of all these components of things we've been working through and on, and it all kind of came together in this one example. And I was like,
you were like, boom.
Oh my God, I graduated. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're like, I'm enlightened.
I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened. Happy graduation.
Yeah, happy graduation.
Yeah.
I think what you're sharing. So yesterday the other day we were watching something with David, and it was about this lady, the Shakers. You've heard of the Shakers, right?
I don't know.
Oh, or the Quakers. The Quakers.
The Quakers?
Like,
sure.
Yeah. They were like a religious thing, and they would shake, whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, that doesn't matter.
But they shake. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, to get the energy out. But that doesn't matter. There's a movie about the lady that's a leader.
Okay.
And at some point it was talked about, like, a true leader never asks someone to do that they haven't been willing to do. And
yes, right.
And not that, I want to take like the personal development-y about that, about like the leader part. But instead bring it just back to the relation piece, is like how you expect others to work through things is how you're expecting yourself. So those moments of still being like it's heavy is because, first of all, my like first mentor is the one who really showed me that. Like, you can't leave anything left there, right? So she would ask me those things, and I wanted to continue to do that for myself. And the only, in giving is receiving. So I had to do it with you. And it was uncomfortable for me because like you said, like, it was uncomfortable for you to share emotions because you weren't showing yourself emotions. It was uncomfortable for me to confront you because I was still working on confronting my own, like, BS meter, right? That's what we call it. And so I really think that's what the statement, we go home 2 by 2, because if like practicing with something outside of us, in a human form is usually what that piece is, because that's the best, like, back and forth reciprocal is necessary, because you cannot keep what you're not willing to give. I don't know. I'm kind of like going off there, but when you were just saying that about, it was like when you would get upset, like, I know too, like when Jess would say to me, well, are you sure, Ash? Or, like, she had her own ways that are different than how I did. Like, she has this look on her face that, like, she doesn't believe what the hell you're saying. She doesn't believe it's everything that you're sharing. She had that way of doing it. And it would just be so frustrating for the reasons you said that, but also because that's like the roots of the ego. That's the ego's like, wait, like, we let her cut down the tree, but we need to keep those roots. Yeah. Like, so we can grow a new tree. So that was like the hardest.
Well, it would be hard. I completely respect as a coach myself, I completely respect the fact that, and as a leader, and I've had to have hard conversations with people, and I know how uncomfortable that is. I completely respect the fact that you don't just let stuff go when you feel it, when you see it, when you feel it. You are willing to do the hard thing, which is however you phrase it. It doesn't really matter. It's more about, hey, are we sure there isn't something else here? And even if I get irritated about it, which I often do, but I know 99% of the time I'm like, yep, yep, there's still something here. Or she wouldn't have asked me. She wouldn't have seen it. She can see something. And maybe I wouldn't have asked and I probably wouldn't have asked myself. I probably would have just kind of been like, all right, that's that. And when you've asked me before, I'm like, yeah, sure. Again, the stoicism, I suppose, is training I've done for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you have been a person in real leadership, like the leadership I speak of, right? So that's a whole nother layer. Leaders are taught that you're not meant to have issues. Like you can't, you have to be at a separate
emotions at work.
Yeah, you're supposed to be at a separate level.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well.
But I think a true leader is breaking down all those barriers and realizing we're all one. And 3 years.
I know.
3 is my favorite number.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah, so you have more on your heart? I mean, I feel...
I'm just looking at my notes to my left because I'm like, did I write anything else down that I wanted to share? So much has happened in the last, like you said, probably 6 months, 7 months since we were in Bon Air together.
That was another big release together.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think we can save that for another time because I haven't really thought about the last 6-7 months. I was really more thinking holistically about the 3 years and what has it really represented to me. But I'm just so grateful for you. So thank you for being my partner in this coaching journey.
I'm so grateful.
Coaching plus.
I'm so grateful.
I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, walking together. We're walking each other home. And I'm so grateful for you and for you trusting. I think I brought this up in a different episode too. I remember when I came home from that event and I told Pat, I met this lady and she wants to work together. And this was a time, remember, when my business had fallen apart. So there was maybe different views of it. And I was like, but she doesn't want to talk for a month or something. And he's like, yeah, right. Because at that point, that's what my life looked like. Was people saying, that's next month or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I remember when you texted me and said, can we hop on a call and next week, or even if maybe it was a couple days. I feel like it wasn't very long. I said, I told you so, Pat. I knew I was going to work with this lady. I knew we weren't done with whatever that looks like. But I'm so great. I mean, I have, like you just said, I could go on forever with what our relationship has brought in regards to mirrors. And I think we should, have we done a Bon Air conversation yet?
No.
We should.
I mean, we will. I mean,
that I feel could be a whole episode on its own. And I think that's a huge 2x2 because it was, each of us would release, which caused, it was this, whatever that thing is, where you go back and forth and that's how you move forward. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think definitely.
Brought so much closure. Okay.
Definitely.
Well,
Well, thanks for having me again as you continue these conversations, and grateful to be included.
So fun.
Good.
Yeah. I think you and I might be some of the only people that listen to them, but that's okay. It's my Big Miracle Energy videos.
I love all of them, of course. And,
I know.
No matter what its purpose is, I believe if it's for us, great. If it's for something else, also great.
Yeah. Right now it's for us. And we get to, well, I don't know. Maybe this will come after. I don't remember what the lineup looks like because we batched a bunch together, but because we're recording another one already Wednesday in 2 days, you and I.
Yes, we're doing book club.
So I don't know which comes first. Either you've already listened to Theo of Golden or Theo of Golden book club is coming.
Yeah.
And if you haven't listened to it, listen to it if it's out or coming.
Yeah, because it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I think I might reread the book or like skim through it. Gosh.
I probably will skim through it too. Yeah.
It was so good.
Because it's been a couple weeks. But yeah, Joy and Julie and Ashley will be having a book club on Theo of Golden. Please look for the episode.
Yes, please look for the episode, whether it's already out or it's coming soon. Trust that it will be there soon. But thank you so much, Julie, for just a beautiful conversation, a wonderful 3 years and many lifetimes, because I know this wasn't the first.
Yeah, of course. No way.
So many more.
It's not possible that it was the first lifetime. No way.
Never. So many more years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So much love.
All right.
Bye, everyone.